We're live. Welcome back here to Weather on the Go, all your weather coverage. Thanks everybody for joining. We are going to be talking about some interesting things, including a rare path for a southern snowstorm as we go into next week. We're also going to be going over the Siberian Express. This has been named several things: the Siberian Express, an Arctic blast, Arctic outbreak. You guys get the idea. As we go into especially early next week, but really this weekend, we're going to start to kick that off with some very cold air spilling into the United States. So if you are here, make sure to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel. We're going to have a video later on here into the evening around 9 o'clock, so make sure that you are ready for that as well. So let's see here. Let's go into the latest. Let's look at first the last 2 weeks of snowfall here, of how much snow we have seen across the United States. And here is the last 2 weeks of snow, the last 14 days. And you notice that there is a lot of areas that have seen snow, and there's a lot of areas that have not seen snow. So where you see the pinks here, especially from Kansas through Missouri, downstate Illinois, through the Ohio Valley here, especially the lower Ohio River Valley, and in toward the mid-Atlantic, interior Northeast. That's kind of been the storm track so far this winter season. We've also seen a lot of snow back here across the Pacific Northwest and the higher elevations, the Cascades, for example, the northern Rockies up there in Idaho, Montana, down into Wyoming, and parts of Colorado. Notice we haven't seen snowfall further south into the deep south near the Gulf Coast yet, right? We haven't seen a lot of snow in the Midwest either yet, right? Things are going to be changing over the next couple of days. So let's go back to 2019 real quick, and this is the wind chills these are the wind chills that we saw back in the January 30th 2019 time frame. Notice we were 30 plus degrees below zero here across these areas. 30, 40, 50, you see even 60 below zero. While we expect a very significant cold air outbreak as we go into this weekend, but especially for Martin Luther King Day and then into next week, we don't expect wind chills this significant like we saw in 2019. So we can breathe a sigh of relief for that. And a lot of that has to do with we have a lack of snowpack here across parts of the upper Midwest. There's not a lot of snow on the ground like we did see in 2019. We had more snow on the ground. And also we are in drought already, okay? And that goes back to the fact that it's really kind of feeding off the drought. Drier ground heats up faster than a wetter ground does. So our temperatures and our wind chills won't be as significant this go around, I certainly believe, as we go into next week. Let's first look at this cold air, then we'll get to the southern snowstorm potential here and give you all the details on that. And let's kind of zoom this out and synoptically give you an update on what we are seeing here. So today, we got this weak ridge of high pressure, and that kind of extends down from Greenland in through portions of the eastern Hudson Bay, Quebec here, and then all the way down into the deep south. And what this is just kind of that brief warm-up. Typically before these Arctic outbreaks, you have really big warm-ups here that happen a day or two ahead of time. That's what we're seeing out across the east. In fact, we actually saw high temperatures in my neck of the woods in northern Illinois at 53 degrees for a high in the Rockford, Illinois region in far northern Illinois this afternoon. And by the way, folks, that was just 7 degrees off of a record high that was set on the same date, January 17th of 1894. That was 131 years ago, and I was only 7 degrees away from tying my record high and 8 degrees away from breaking it. So that just shows you we can have a big warm up ahead of these things, and then watch as we go into next week, especially for the weekend though. You can see we got this big trough, already starting to see that here, by the way, in southern Canada, but it's going to strengthen and really crank further to the south as we go into tomorrow. And notice this blue line here on your screen. This is your freezing line. So it's going to continue to shift further to the south as we go into Saturday. Sunday, that freezing line gets even stronger, pushes further to the south. Look at these greens start to show up here. That is the core of our tropospheric polar vortex. And that core of it is going to be right over Manitoba, Ontario, and then down into the Midwest, especially the upper Midwest up here. So that is where the core of our tropospheric polar vortex will be as we go into Sunday. And then looking here at Monday, notice the core of that, again, is up here into Minnesota, Wisconsin, Iowa, northern Illinois, and kind of stretching eastward toward the Great Lakes region. That is where the polar vortex will be sitting. And then you see blocking, very strong blocking up here into Greenland, very strong blocking over here in Alaska and the Aleutian Islands and Western Canada. And that all is working together to force all that cold air south. You ever heard the term "what goes up must come down"? Well, you see the ridge going up here in Alaska, and what has to come down? All that cold air. There it goes, and then it goes all the way back up again, and then it goes all the way back down. You can't see it, but it's colder in Europe as well. So definitely seeing this pattern come to fruition over the weekend, and then as we go into next week, it relaxes. It kind of shifts a little bit further to the east as we go into Tuesday, Wednesday, and then we kind of get a little bit of a push of some colder air, but not as significant toward later next week. Let's look at our temperature anomalies as we go into that time frame as well, because this is some true Siberian air. This is a Siberian air mass. That's where it originates. And notice this, all this cold air as we go into Saturday, these are temperature anomalies in the blues, the deeper blues, especially the purples and the pinks, that are literally 20 to 30 degrees below normal for what we should see on January 18th. And we know that January 18th, 19th, and 20th statistically is one of the coldest times of year here in the United States on average. So when you're seeing temperature anomalies 20, 30, 40 below the norm for already a cold time of year, you know you're dealing with some serious and dangerous cold temperatures and wind chills. That becomes even more widespread on Sunday. Notice that it makes it all the way down into the Gulf Coast here, into northern Mexico as well as we go into Sunday, and then Monday comes around and the bottom just drops out. These are temperature anomalies approaching 50 degrees below normal from the Front Range up here into the northern plains, the upper Midwest where the core of the tropospheric polar vortex will be, and then over here into the mid-Atlantic and the Ohio Valley. Further south though, still nothing to mess with. North Florida, you see these blues? These are areas that have 15, 20 degrees below the norm for this time of year, and that is going to make its way into North Florida. Tallahassee, Jacksonville, Orlando, even Tampa Bay could be well below normal as we go into Monday the 20th as well. How are these temperatures looking? So let's look here at the European model and show you some of the temperatures. Let's go to the central sector on the map and notice these temperatures as we go into tomorrow. This is your afternoon, right? This is the peak heating of the day. As we go into Saturday, look at our temperatures up here into North Dakota, Montana, and northern Minnesota. We're going to be in the single digits below zero in a lot of these areas, and that is where we're going to be seeing our high temperatures tomorrow. Now, you factor in the winds out there, our wind chills will already be well below 20 below zero. So we're seeing 20 to 35 degrees below zero wind chills into parts of northern Minnesota, North Dakota, and northeastern North Dakota as we go into Saturday. So those will already require probably wind chill advisories, wind chill warning criteria. And then we go back to the actual air temperature. Here we go. Sunday morning, if you're heading off to any church services out there, and maybe some of the church services are canceled because it's so cold, look at our low temperatures in northern Minnesota getting down to minus 20, minus 25 for lows Sunday morning. This is just a couple days away on the 19th here, and our wind chills are going to be pushing 40 degrees, if not 45 degrees below zero at that same time, because look at the winds. We have the winds on here. Those winds could be gusting as much as 20 miles per hour. And while that doesn't sound like a lot, when you already have air temperatures here, like we show, of 20 below zero or so, it won't take much to see 40 to 45 degrees below zero wind chills across this region. We extend it one more day here into Sunday afternoon, and you can see that's all we'll be able to muster. So North Dakota, Minnesota, Wisconsin, we're barely going to get above minus 10 in the afternoon. Our wind chills will remain 20 to 30 degrees below zero, and then we go into Monday morning on Martin Luther King Day here, and notice the bottom drops out again. We see more widespread 20s, 25 degrees below zero temperatures, and our wind chills here will be the coldest. We could legit have an area in northern North Dakota reach minus 50 with our wind chills as we go into Monday morning. Some serious stuff, and going even into Monday afternoon, those areas that could have 50 below zero wind chills in North Dakota could only get to minus 40 with the warmest part of the day. So this is some truly serious stuff as we go into next week. Let's look at the eastern sector because it's still going to be cold over here, and we're going to answer some questions. Then finally, we'll be getting into our winter storm potential here as we go into next week. So we want to break it down in chronological order here. So let's look at Saturday afternoon, and notice while it's not unheard of for temperatures, definitely going to be cooling down in a big way, especially the further west in the Great Lakes you go. So if you go go further west toward Lake Superior, Lake Michigan, it's going to be colder. You go further east toward Lake Erie and Huron, it's going to be a little bit warmer here. So we're definitely seeing the teens and 20s for highs Saturday afternoon further west toward the Midwest and into the Ohio Valley, and then further east toward the Northeast, New England, and the Mid-Atlantic, our temperatures will be more from freezing up to around 40 degrees for Saturday afternoon. Looking at the wind chills here Saturday afternoon, we're going to start to see those negative wind chills making their way into the upper peninsula of Michigan, into Wisconsin here. But notice as we go into Sunday morning, our wind chills start to get below zero as far south and east as Michigan, Indiana, Illinois here, maybe even a parts of interior New England like New York State, upstate New York there, northern Pennsylvania, some of those valleys, definitely seeing some wind chills maybe just a few degrees below zero. And then going into Sunday afternoon, again, another day we're going to get a little bit colder here, so we're going to see single digits to teens for temperatures for highs Sunday afternoon from the interior part of the Northeast into the Ohio Valley, and our wind chills here at this point are going to be 0 to 10 degrees below zero as we go into Sunday afternoon. And then finally, as we go into Monday morning here, the bottom drops out. While it's not as cold as areas further west, like say like Wisconsin, Minnesota, North Dakota, we're still going to be dealing with temperatures that are 0 to 10 degrees below zero when you factor in the winds here, and our wind chills will easily be anywhere from 10 to 25 degrees below zero in a lot of these areas. So make sure to bundle up as we go into that time frame, and notice as we go into Martin Luther King Day afternoon, we're still dealing with wind chills teens to 20s below zero out here across the Northeast, especially interior New England away from the coast. But even coastal areas, Cape Cod, 10 degrees Monday afternoon with the wind chill. Long Island, 10, 11 degrees. New York City, around 5. Trenton, New Jersey, 8. And even down here into D.C., we're going to be seeing wind chills on the 20th of January into the Washington, D.C., around 0. So it's going to be bitterly cold as we go through that Martin Luther King Day time frame. So some serious stuff. Make sure to bundle up, bundle up with plenty of layers as we go into next week, especially Saturday, Sunday, Monday. It'll still be very cold beyond that, but those are the worst of the 3 days of the cold as we go through the weekend and early next week. So make sure to bundle up in layers. Frostbite in those conditions, especially like North Dakota with wind chills 40 to 50 below zero, a frostbite can occur in less than 10 minutes. That is as quick as it can be. So that is very dangerous and life-threatening cold air that we do see. Now, statistically, when you have a cold air mass like this and it pushes all the way to the Gulf Coast and we have moisture around, that could lead to some snowfall. And that leads me into our next segment here. We're going to be talking about the potential of a major and historic winter storm across the Gulf Coast and into the southeast towards the Mid-Atlantic as well as we go into next week. So let's look here at the jet stream pattern at first and kind of set the stage here, right? So let's zoom out to the North American view and show you as we go into the weekend here on Saturday, notice how far south our jet stream digs all the way down to Texas, along the Gulf Coast and into North Florida here, and then off the Carolina coast. That is a very far south jet stream. To the north of that, obviously, we showed you the very dangerous cold air mass that we do have. And look at Sunday. Again, this jet stream really starts to get strong here on the southeast side of this core of cold air on Sunday and even into Monday next week, and it just continues to get stronger off the East Coast. Look at all these browns and these whites here showing up. Those are basically the highway for winds in the atmosphere, right? It's a highway for storms that we could see as we go across the south next week. Now, looking here at the upper air moisture, do we have that in place? We do. Look at the moisture here that we do have as we go into the middle of next week across the Gulf Coast and into the southeast. Very formidable down here, and this is going to feed moisture from the East Pacific with that subtropical jet, and also the subtropical jet off of the Gulf of Mexico, going to feed a lot of this moisture up into that storm. So let's look at some scenarios that could unfold. Let's go back to the United States view here. So as we go into Tuesday next week, this model, the European model, Tuesday morning, showing snow falling literally across central and southern Louisiana. Yes, Baton Rouge, we're talking about you. We're talking about Lake Charles, even up here into Alexandria, Louisiana, and even potentially New Orleans as we go into Tuesday morning as well. Back toward Houston, could be seeing snow. You get a little bit more of that freezing line further south. Victoria, Corpus Christi there in Texas, more of a rain-snow mix, or at least some freezing rain and sleet in the picture. Going into Tuesday afternoon, this is the European run. It shows it snowing all out, all snow into Louisiana, into portions there of New Orleans, Baton Rouge, Alexandria there, and even into Jackson, Mississippi. That extends over toward Montgomery here and just south of the Atlanta area as this cold 1039 Arctic high pressure is all across portions of the Ohio Valley. Now, one thing that we do have to watch on this model, okay, is the northward extent of any cold air. So here's the scenario for you. This model is suppressing the storm track further south, which tells us the cold air is going to come in very quick, which is very reasonable, and that would push the snow line all the way down off of the Gulf Coast. Like, it literally could be snowing over the open waters of the northern Gulf there, and that is very possible Tuesday afternoon. And it suppresses the storm track from really ever getting to Atlanta on this model. So we actually see more snow in southern Georgia than you would in northern Georgia. And that sounds odd, right? This is a potentially historic track of a winter storm that we are seeing. And this could actually bring snow to Columbia, Myrtle Beach, Charleston, all the way up to Wilmington and the Outer Banks of North Carolina as we go into Wednesday morning and also Tuesday evening, and then kind of moving it off of the coast. And notice these pinks here in North Florida. Yeah, we could be seeing a notable ice storm threat if this did verify this model across areas like Jacksonville, Tallahassee, even into Panama City, and even Savannah, Georgia as well on the coast. You need to be watching out for the potential here of an ice storm. So what does this model show for the snowfall potential as we go into next week? So let's do this like 5-day period as we go into next week and kind of zoom it in across first the south central U.S. real quick. This model showing a good 2 to 5 inches of snow across coastal Texas, southern Louisiana into central Louisiana, and southern portions of Mississippi, getting around 1 to 3 inches here on this model. You swing it over here to the southeast view and look at the formidable snow amounts that this model is throwing out here for places like Tallahassee, for Panama City here, as well as southern Georgia. A good 2 to 5 inches worth of snow up the coast here of the Carolinas, so Charleston to Myrtle Beach, Wilmington, all the way up there into the portions of Cape Hatteras. We could literally be seeing 2 to 4 inches worth of snow through your Wednesday time frame. And then the freezing rain, right? This model is showing about 1/4 of an inch of ice equivalent here in accretion across northern Florida, okay? So this would be Jacksonville, all the way over there to Tallahassee, and potentially getting close to Panama City there, Savannah, Georgia, and getting up as far north as Charleston, South Carolina. So that would be a notable ice storm and a crippling ice storm for North Florida, right? We don't have the plow crews down here. We don't have the salt like we do in the Midwest, okay? So this would be a very, worst case scenario for North Florida if this did unfold as we go into next week. Well, what about the other models? So let's zoom out the picture and show you the GFS here. This is a completely different model here, and this is 18Z. Let's go back and show you what we could see unfold and the kind of the similarities and differences. Here is the difference with the GFS here at 18Z than the 12Z Euro is that we have the snow line a little bit further to the north. I would say a good 50, 75 miles than the Euro shows, and that means that the cold air is slowed down a little bit. It's not as, cold down near the coast initially as we go into Tuesday morning. So that would push the snow line a little bit further north, closer to Waco, Tyler, Texas, Shreveport, into Monroe, Louisiana, while the Euro has it further south and the northern cutoff to that snow further south, so Shreveport and Monroe doesn't get much. So that's the difference we see off the bat. Going into Tuesday afternoon, this is a formidable ice storm potential. While we have all snow in New Orleans on the Euro model, the 18Z GFS has an all-out notable ice storm threat from the New Orleans area back over here to Lake Charles and extending eastward towards Gulfport, Mississippi. So something to keep an eye on there. And then a crippling ice storm on the GFS Tuesday night as we see all ice, all freezing rain and sleet here from Wilmington, Myrtle Beach down here in towards Charleston, Savannah, Macon, Georgia, all the way back here towards, say, Montgomery, Alabama, and Mobile, okay? And this could actually get into parts of the northern Florida panhandle at times as well, first couple of counties there. That would be a crippling ice storm, whereas the Euro, if we go back to this at the same time frame, it has it just a tad bit further south, more suppressed, okay? So let's look at the snowfall on the GFS now. We do that 5-day period, same thing here. Let's look at the south central view first, and you can see that this is a more notable snowstorm threat for Texas, for Louisiana and Mississippi, as it has 6 to 10 inches worth of snow here right along and east of I-35, all immediately into central Louisiana here, getting up to 10 inches of snow it has in places like Alexandria, and then over there just south of Jackson and north of the Gulf Coast there in Mississippi, seeing a good 6 to 10 inch swath there as well, from around Natchez eastward here as well, toward maybe the Laurel area. So that is some very impressive snow amounts here that we do see on the GFS model for the south central sector of the United States. Looking here at the southeast, while it does not show a lot of snow, it's to be honest, it's still a lot of snow for areas that haven't seen snow like this in several years. I mean, we're talking 2 to 4 inches worth of snow in places like South Georgia into the central and eastern Carolinas. That is almost, we haven't had that in a long time. So that in itself is impressive. But this is the worrisome thing. The GFS is showing a more widespread notable ice storm, anywhere up to a quarter, half an inch worth of ice here from Wilmington, North Carolina, back here into just areas east into the low country of South Carolina, Myrtle Beach, down toward Charleston, Macon, Georgia, Savannah, all the way back here into the Florida Panhandle, Panama City, into areas of Alabama, Montgomery, Mobile. That would be worrisome here as we go into next week. Let's look at the Canadian model and show you again. Here is something very interesting. Here's the Euro model that we showed earlier, right? It shows it over southeastern Georgia, North Florida for the ice. The Canadian model coming in, really not that much different with the ice. Looking at the snowfall amounts on the Canadian, absolutely bonkers. I mean, this would be a crippling snowstorm for portions of the Carolinas, Georgia, and Alabama. This would be anywhere from 6 to 20 inches worth of snow if this happened. The Euro model, not as significant. So the difference is the Euro and the Canadian agree on the areas of ice across southeastern Georgia, North Florida. They disagree on the amounts of the snow and a little bit of the placement of that as well. So that just tells you there's still a little bit of disagreement here. We have to work things out as we go into the weekend, but certainly looking like an historic winter storm across the deep south, along the Gulf Coast and into the southeast, up the East Coast as well as we go into next week. So if you all have any questions, we are here to answer any questions that you do have regarding the potential for winter storm across the deep south, any cold air questions as well, as we have a dangerous cold air mass as we go in towards next week as well, especially to begin the week. If you are here, make sure to subscribe to the channel. We're going to be posting a video update on all of this and much more with new information, new data as we go into the mid-evening hours. So usually posted between 8:30 and 9 o'clock at night. So if you aren't subscribed to the channel, make sure to do so now. Make sure to like the live stream down below. If you haven't smashed that like button, I would appreciate that as well, as it looks like we're about 200 likes here on the live stream. So if you haven't liked the live stream, make sure to smash the like button. It's the thumbs up, and subscribe to the channel. Make sure all your post notifications are turned on for the video later on today as well. All right, so let's look here at some questions. Let me kind of scroll up to the top. And I don't mean to miss your chats here, so thank you so much to Chad for the $2. Hammond, Louisiana snow accumulation. Again, it's too early to say how much snow, but I will say that this is the best chance for snow Louisiana has seen since 2014, or maybe even all the way back to 2000. I mean, this is a great chance for snow. We'll look here first at Louisiana with the potential scenarios we could see here. So if you're looking just at the total snow accumulation here with the 12Z European model, so this is the European model going all the way out to the end of next week. This mainly shows central and southern Louisiana getting a good 2 to 5 inches worth of snow. The GFS model here has a bonkers snowstorm up to 6 to 10 inches across this region as we go through next week. And the Canadian model as well is showing some pretty heavy snow amounts and actually takes up residence across more of Louisiana. So the Canadian model verified the entire state of Louisiana essentially could have at least an inch of snow on the ground by the end of next week. So that would be very interesting to see as well. As far as ice is concerned, again, doesn't show much ice on the Canadian model for Louisiana. Shows a lot more ice down here toward New Orleans, maybe a quarter, half an inch of ice on the GFS, and the Euro doesn't show much. So probably looking at more of a snowstorm threat in Louisiana, but we can't discount the chance for an ice storm, and that's something we'll be keeping a very close eye on here as more data comes in. All right, let's see here. You guys have any questions? Make sure to ask them below. Let's see here. Colt says, "Hi Hunter, Louisville, Kentucky temperature." So yeah, sure. Let's go up here to Kentucky and look at the potential for some very cold air. So, and we're going to look at the Euro model. It does pretty well with our temperatures as we go into next week. And for temperatures here in the Louisville area, as we go into Saturday afternoon, here are your temperatures. Louisville, we're in the mid-30s tomorrow. We're at 36 degrees. Our wind chills tomorrow will be down in the upper 20s, so it's not too bad of a winter day tomorrow. Kind of a typical winter day as far as temperatures are concerned. Sunday morning, our temperatures will be down into the low to mid-20s. Wind chills here in Louisville will be into the teens, so it's going to start to get pretty cold there and sharply colder by Sunday morning. Sunday afternoon, our temperatures may stay steady, actually, if not fall off a few degrees, near 20 degrees. Our wind chills Sunday afternoon is still into the teens there. And then it looks like our coldest morning so far of the winter season for Louisville will actually be Monday morning, Martin Luther King Day. We're going to be seeing temperatures around 0 degrees with wind chills that could be anywhere between 0 and 15 degrees below 0 in that region. So definitely bundle up as you head out the doors there into Louisville, Kentucky early next week, especially on Monday. I live in Columbus. Jolie says, "Hello, Northwest Iowa. It's getting windy and cooling off in the last hour." Yes, that would be the Arctic front trying to get closer there in Northwest Iowa. That will clear the area as we go in towards next probably 24 hours. So here are our wind chills currently in Northwest Iowa. And we're seeing wind chills approaching 32 degrees already in Northwest Iowa. Watch our wind chills crash overnight tonight. This is midnight. We're seeing wind chills down into the middle and upper teens. And then by tomorrow morning on Saturday morning, wind chills approaching 10 degrees there in northwestern Iowa. This is our wind chills. Actually, rather, that is our temperature. Our wind chill will be below 0 already by tomorrow morning in Iowa. So 0 to 5 degrees below 0. And then as we go in towards Saturday afternoon, our wind chills will remain near 0 there in northwest Iowa. Sunday morning, wind chills will be down to 25 degrees below 0 in your area. So we're likely talking wind chill advisory criteria there. And then as we go into Sunday afternoon, not getting much better, wind chills around 10 below. And then going into Monday morning, this could be the coldest start here where we could have wind chills again below 25 below 0 in a lot of these areas. So yeah, Northwest Iowa included. We're looking at some wind chill advisory criteria cold as we go through the end of the weekend and into early next week. Is Pennsylvania getting it? Pennsylvania is not getting much snow. We could have some snow this weekend in Pennsylvania, and if we look here at the high-resolution rapid and refresh model, and you guys know it as the HRRR, let's look here at the east sector and look here at Pennsylvania, and you can see as we go into tonight, we got a rainfall. Yes, this is all liquid. This is no wintry precipitation, so some heavier rains moving in, Paducah, Kentucky, Evansville, Indiana here as we go into overnight. That will spread up into the Ohio Valley. If we're looking at Pennsylvania, it looks like northwestern Pennsylvania will see a mix of rain and or snow through the morning hours there on Saturday, and then kind of clearing out Saturday through the day into the evening hours. Really never makes it to the Poconos or to eastern Pennsylvania, so definitely interesting there. As far as snowfall is concerned, we're going to see the potential for maybe up to 3 inches of snow there in Pennsylvania. That is a possibility if we kind of zoom it in here and look at Pennsylvania as a whole. It looks like areas from Erie all the way up here into north central Pennsylvania, that's where we could see anywhere from around 0 to 4 inches of snow. The further east you go toward the Poconos here, toward Philly and towards Baltimore into Maryland, we're likely not to see much, if any, snow with this going through the weekend. So your shot at snow is this weekend. It's mainly in northwestern and northern Pennsylvania. That is currently what we are seeing as far as snow there. Chicago here, jealous of everyone down south who's getting snow, not jealous of the lack of infrastructure to deal with it, though. Yes, absolutely. Again, we got to remember, folks, when we're hoping for snow in the deep south, we don't want a big snow event, right? And there may be folks down in the deep south that would love to see an historic snowstorm, but personally, with me being the person I am, I want everybody to stay safe out there, and we just don't have the infrastructure and or just like the plow crews or anything like that the salt crews down into Georgia or Florida. Let's just face it, it's not the same. If you have 12 inches of snow in Iowa, that's one thing because we have plow crews up in Iowa, Illinois, same thing, Wisconsin. But down in like Georgia, Alabama, Florida, they wait for this snow to melt. It's not like there's a magic wand, right? And it just goes away, disappears. No, these folks have to deal with the snow until it melts. And if we have a big Arctic outbreak, this snow, especially if you get heavy snow, like a foot of snow down here, it will take a while for it to melt, especially here a couple of days. Okay, so we really need to think about that as well. And I get the people that are snow hungry across the deep south. I understand it's been a while, but we just have to think about how, the safety of these things as well, these winter storms. So, all right, let's see here. More questions. So let's keep scrolling on down. I don't think okay, wait, let's see here. I just had a question on here and I just lost it. What about the Dallas-Fort Worth area there, Ron, for Texas? Dallas-Fort Worth, we're not going to really see much snow over the weekend anyway. Let's go to the Euro model here for snow going all the way through next week. A lot of this looks to bypass you well to the south, so more toward Houston. I think that would be a better area for snow down there towards Houston. So something to keep an eye on there across Texas. Looks like coastal Texas will have the better chance of snow than Dallas. Dallas may be completely dry going through the middle of next week. The GFS model as well is showing maybe a little bit more snow, a northward jog. That could bring maybe an inch or two to Dallas. If that did verify, the Canadian model is also showing around an inch or two in Dallas. So it's still possible, but I think the heaviest accumulating snow will be further off to your east or south from the Dallas-Fort Worth area with this one coming up. That is currently what it looks like. Thank you all for watching. Again, if you are joining, we are doing just live Q&A right now. We went over the forecast for temperatures at the beginning of the live stream. We went over the snowfall and ice potential as we go into next week, the scenarios that could unfold with the different models. If you are new here, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Check the notification bell and make sure it's on all so you get all my videos and live streams when they are posted and dropped here on the channel. We're going to be doing a video this evening on that, updating you on the newest data. So again, subscribe to the channel, like the live stream down below, give it a thumbs up. Definitely appreciate it. Let's see here. Is it going to be bad in Huntsville, Alabama? So looking here at the southeast sector of this map, it looks like northern Alabama, up where Huntsville is, on the Canadian model showing around an inch worth of snow. The GFS at 12Z was showing around a dusting. Same thing here at 18Z, not showing much. And then looking at the Euro model here at 12Z for next week, we are actually looking at the potential for maybe, I would say, dusting of snow as well. So not looking at really a big snow there in the Huntsville area. A lot of this actually will be further south, and the reason being is because northern Alabama is just going to be so darn cold as we go into next week. We look at our temperatures there in North Alabama. Look at this. Monday morning in North Alabama, our temperatures, forget the wind chill, we're into the teens, and that's going to suppress that cold air as dry air. And let's just be real, it's not going to snow in the teens across northern Alabama. It's going to snow where it's a little bit warmer. So something we'll watch out for. Wind chills in northern Alabama could be below zero in a couple of areas up there toward Florence and Huntsville as well. Monday morning and Monday afternoon, our wind chills are only into the teens to near 20 up there into northern Alabama. So keeping a very close eye on areas in the deep south that are susceptible to the cold weather. Is Cleveland, Tennessee going to get any more snow? I would say that the best chance to see snow in Tennessee will be within the next 10 to 14 days. As far as snowfall, again, it's a possibility. I can't go and say, you're going to get a foot of snow, but definitely there's a chance within the next 14 days, next 2 weeks there into Tennessee. So any folks on here living in Tennessee, our chance of snow will be dwindling after we go into early February because a southeast ridge will start to develop and bring warmer temperatures further north, which will ultimately shift our storm track further north toward the Great Lakes, the Midwest areas, again, that haven't seen a lot of snow this year. Chicago, I know. Milwaukee, I get it. Des Moines, I get it. Yeah, we haven't seen a lot of snow. It's coming, okay? Early February, our pattern will change, and we could see more snow further to the north. Okay. Thank you so much to Al Turner for the $1 super chat. Thank you so much. Really do appreciate it. What about Atlanta? Atlanta, you are in play for the potential for some snow here. If we look at the the European model for snowfall going all the way through the end of next week, through Saturday. Right now, showing a dusting there in Atlanta on the Euro. The GFS here at 12Z was showing around a half an inch. The GFS at 18Z showing around an inch to an inch and a half. And the Canadian model showing 1 to 3 inches in Atlanta. I think actually the heaviest amount, believe it or not, will be further south into Georgia. So Atlanta may actually miss the heaviest snow just to the south of you guys. So wind chills next week, Arctic blast west of Rochester, New York. So yeah, let's go up here towards New York and look at our wind chills as we go into next week. Because yes, it's going to be a dangerous cold air mass. So going into next week on Monday morning there in Rochester, we could be dealing with wind chills from 0 to 15 below Monday morning, not getting much better in the afternoon, maybe approaching the single digits above 0. And then as we go into Tuesday morning next week, again, the bottom drops out. Wind chills across most of the state of New York will be anywhere from 10 to 20 degrees below 0 with our wind chills Tuesday morning. And then over here as we go into Wednesday morning, same deal. 15 degrees below 0 at times, and then same thing Thursday morning and Friday morning. So yeah, all next week going to be bitterly cold there into New York, including Rochester, New York. So make sure to bundle up with layers. Frostbite and those conditions can occur between 15 and 25 minutes with wind chills that cold. Greer, South Carolina, any chance of snow? Yes. The entire state of South Carolina at this point, as far as I'm concerned, and the entire state of North Carolina included, and the entire state of Georgia, we are all three of those states, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, all of you three down here, these states have an opportunity, and everywhere in that state, those states have the chance for snow as we go into next week. And that's looking fairly likely at this point. Where exactly the heaviest snow will fall is a little bit to be determined still, as a lot of the models are kind of still trying to agree on the track. The depth of the cold air will be very important. Does the cold air come in sooner? Does it come in later? Will be a big deal whether to show, so if it comes in later, Atlanta gets more snow because the storm track is going to be further north. If the colder air comes in sooner, then Atlanta will see less snow, and southern Georgia would see more snow. Same with Florida. Even the Panhandle could see snow. So definitely a very interesting combination there. Is Rhode Island getting snow? Rhode Island could get some snow. Let's look at the HRRR here, going back to 18Z this afternoon. And notice Rhode Island pretty dry. We may have some rain there in Rhode Island as we go into Saturday afternoon. I think we're too warm for snow. And then maybe some snow in Rhode Island late this weekend. The Euro model showing an all-out snowstorm from Vermont, New Hampshire, New York, all the way down into central western PA, down the Appalachians there, Maryland, Northern Virginia, and West Virginia. Again, that remains to be seen, the exact track of this. If this shifts just 50 miles east, New York City, Providence, over here in towards Hartford, Connecticut, right? Okay, I'm just drawing a blank, sorry. Hartford, Connecticut, up here towards Boston, Massachusetts, we could be seeing some snowfall as we go into Sunday if the shift's just a little bit further off to the east by, say, 50, 75 miles. That is what we're seeing. So for some reason, I can't say Hartford, Connecticut, for some reason. Thank you, Mark, for the $10. Thanks, Hunter. Absolutely. Thank you for joining and being here. I really do appreciate it. Thanks to Snowies for modding as well. If you guys haven't answered my question up there, it's the poll up at the top. You just click it and it scrolls down and it says, what would you rather have? Rain, snow, ice, or it doesn't matter to me? So far, 507 people have voted. 508 now, so definitely answer that. We're going to end the poll and see how much people like. It looks like the snow is in a big lead right now. Apparently, a couple people like ice. I see at 1%, 25% rain, and 7% it doesn't matter to me what precipitation type. So, very interesting. A lot of people like snow, and I get it. Yeah, I get what you're saying, Lisa, but honestly, if it's too cold, it's not going to snow because cold air is drier. The colder it gets drier. So if you're too cold, you're not going to snow. It's just simply put. So if you're in the upper Midwest, you forget about it. You're not going to see snow through the middle of next week. It's just not going to happen because it's too cold. But Further to the south, where it's a little warmer in the 20s, 30s, sure, you're going to see some snow as we go across the Gulf Coast into the southeast as we go into next week. All right. So we're going to end the poll. Looks like we got 523 people. I'll give you another 30 seconds to answer on the poll, but it looks like clearly snow is the winner here. It's 67%. So that is currently looking to be the winner so far. Rain comes in second at 25%. Ice at 2%. So there's people that love ice. They love freezing rain and sleet, I guess. And then 7% doesn't matter to me. So ice comes in last. All right, so we ended the poll. Here, I'm going to ask a different poll real quick, okay? Let me type this up and see what you guys think. We're going to do a would you rather real quick before I end the live stream. Whoops. We're going to do a would you rather real quick. Let's see here. Very interesting poll here being typed up. All right, here we go. Here we go. What do you guys think? Vote. Okay, so would you rather have temperatures at 100 degrees, such as like during the summer, or would you have temperatures at minus 20 degrees, 20 degrees below zero? I want to see how this is going to be interesting, okay? This is going to be interesting. I've never asked this question before. One extreme or the other is basically what I'm asking you. Do you like 100-degree temperatures or minus 20? Thank you, Chad, for the $2. You do such a great job, buddy. Thank you so much, Chad, and thank you for joining. I really do appreciate it. Thank you, Jax Tech, as well, for the 20. I want to be a meteorologist myself. Storm chasing is a pretty cool thing to do. It really inspires me. Also, how is Southeast Texas looking? Southeast Texas has the best chance for snow that I've seen in a long time, since I've been doing weather for several years now. So Texas has the best chance for snow since 2014 as far as I'm concerned. From Victoria, Texas to Houston, again, we could be seeing the potential of up to 6+ inches of snow. That is definitely on the table. That's a more extreme type of snow prediction, but I think there is chances for some heavy snow here. So like if we look at the models and kind of look at how much snow we could see in Southeast Texas, the Euro model at 12Z here going all the way through the end of next week. And we're seeing models showing 2 to 5 inches there in Southeast Texas there. The GFS model showing potentially nothing in coastal Texas, but still in East Texas showing more of a 6 to 12 inch snow. And then the Canadian model is closer to Houston, again, 6 to 12 inches. So yeah, this could be the best setup for snow in Southeast Texas that we have seen in quite a while. So that is very interesting to note. Let's see how it's going so far. Wow, really? A lot of people like 61 votes so far. A lot of people like 100-degree heat, apparently. So, hey, a lot of people are probably tuning in from Arizona, huh? We only have 62 votes and 500 people watching. Where's everybody at? Are they sleeping? Everybody sleeping out there? All right. Columbus, Georgia does have a chance for snow next week. Definitely a possibility. 100 degrees New York, it's every type of weather. Yeah, no. They have, it seems like, over the past few years, haven't they? Iowa, Indiana, you guys are both going to be extremely cold next week. So if we're looking at the central U.S. here, there's Iowa, there's Indiana, and here are our temperatures. So going into tomorrow, these are just your air temperatures for tomorrow afternoon. Iowa, most of the state will be in the teens, possibly as cold as 10 degrees. Same thing over here into Indiana, a little bit colder though into Iowa as the cold front has already moved through on Saturday. Indiana looking at around mid to upper 20s on the northwest side of the state Saturday afternoon, southern side of the state near freezing at 32. As we go into Sunday morning, it's going to be in the teens there in Indiana, below 0 in most of the Hawkeye State there of Iowa. Our wind chills are going to be approaching 30 below in most of the state of Iowa there, especially northern Iowa into Sunday morning. For Indiana, it looks like wind chills in the single digits above or below 0, kind of averaging around 0 degrees with a wind chill there Sunday morning in Indiana. So those are kind of the next couple of days, wind chills and temperatures. Yeah, I guess you better get out your winter coat. Yeah, absolutely. That's an understatement. I think, honestly, getting out your winter coat is going to be a must-do for the Midwest as we go through next week and probably the rest of winter through March, because it's looking pretty cold and wintry there as we go through the rest of the next several days, several weeks. Yeah, Lisa, absolutely. The humidity down there is crazy. Storm track isn't completely known for the storm next week, completely, guys. So I see some questions about that. It's still unknown right now, but definitely will become more known as we go deeper into the weekend here. We'll get more information. Okay. And it just goes to show that, again, the only thing that could change here really will be a couple of things. How much moisture does the storm have to work with? I'm inclined to say a lot, because we have the Gulf of Mexico right there. Eastern Pacific's not that far away. The Atlantic's not far away, okay? And we have cold air. That's 2. And then 3, we need a low pressure system. We're going to have one. It's just the fact that we don't know exactly where it's going to track. And that is the difference here. Hey, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, folks, make sure to do so. We are approaching 115,400 subscribers. I appreciate it. We are actually only 25 people away from 115,400. So I'd love to hit that here before the end of the live stream. So if you haven't yet subscribed, make sure to do so. Tell your friends, your family about the channel here at Weather on the Go. We do daily forecast updates. You can follow along with all my daily updates. We post videos late morning, early afternoons, and then usually in the evenings as well. So, especially here in the winter when the weather's active. Alabama, Kathy. Alabama's going to get colder, and we could see some snow in Alabama. I think the best chance for that will likely be across portions of central and southern Alabama. This is an ensemble, so like we look at next week, and the ensemble has central Alabama seeing snow and some ice maybe in southern Alabama there. Northern Alabama, a little bit more uncertain, but it's looking increasingly likely that northern Alabama will see less snow than the central and southern part of the state. And that's what it's currently looking like. And the only reason being is because the cold air. Look at the strong 1036. And then up here in the upper Midwest, again, I've been doing weather for a while, okay? I'm not, 60 years old by any means, but definitely I've been doing this for several years, and I have not seen a 1050 high pressure in quite a while. Okay, so this is a rare, strong high pressure, and this is an Arctic high here in the upper Midwest too. So, and that's going to drive a lot of dry air further south, so that's why northern Alabama will likely not see a lot of wintry precipitation or any precipitation much at all if this holds as a storm track, because cold air is dry air, and it's going to suppress that storm track further south. There's even a couple crazy models that show snow so far south that even the Gulf Coast barely gets anything. Like over the Gulf of Mexico, open water sees snow, and like there's some models that show Jackson, Mississippi seeing like not even a flake of snow. Just wild runs like that. So I even saw a model the other day. It was one operational model that showed it snowing in Tampa Bay and Orlando. That's just how crazy some of these models are, and then we'll see some crazy swings over the next couple of days before the models really start to hone in this weekend on the solution for the snowstorm, like where it's going to go, how much moisture it has to work with, the amounts of snow and ice we could see or rain. So that'll become more known over the weekend. And really each day we get closer. School closings next week because of wind chills in the Northeast. I think it's possible, especially the western, like interior part of the Northeast, like upstate New York, western New York, stuff like that. I don't think anywhere near the coast will be as cold for that. I don't know what the criteria. Each school has a difference in criteria for how cold it can be to release kids early maybe, or just to like say, for example, close school. I'm not sure what those criterias are. Each school district is different. So like for when I went to school here in Northern Illinois, our school district was around 30 below zero. If it was colder than that, like 30 below or colder, that's when we didn't have school. We had like a 2-hour delay if it was like 20 or 25 below. But I also, again, live in Northern Illinois. It might be different for areas like, say, in Virginia or New Jersey for, the criteria for how cold it'll be to release, have a late start or, have a release early type thing or close school or something. So I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure about that. We're only 18 people now, away from 115,400. So if you have not subscribed, make sure to do so. We're going to be wrapping up the live stream. The purpose of this was just to let you know, give you an overview on what you can expect as we go into next week. You're going to hear a lot of talk about a winter storm. It is truth. We're going to see winter storm near the Gulf Coast likely and into the southeast as we go into next week. Confidence is increasing. Cold air. Coldest air we have seen. Widespread in the United States since 2014. This could be the coldest outbreak since at least 2019, 2021, once it's all said and done. So this is some dangerous stuff. This cold air doesn't come around every year while it's cold, and we have 20 below zero wind chills probably on a daily basis for parts of the upper Midwest every winter at some point. This is a different air mass. This is much different, okay? This is taking up residence across a larger chunk of the United States. We literally could have sub-zero wind chills all the way down into parts of the plains, central southern plains, mid-south, parts of the mid-Atlantic there into Tennessee. So this is some serious cold air coming in. And the reason being going live is to just give you guys an idea of how cold things will be and just to update you guys on what we could see as we go into next week with our winter storm. So, all right. The deal is I'm going to be doing a video as we go into the middle of the evening. So replay crew, if you are here on the live stream after it's all said and done, make sure to ask any questions, okay? And if you have any questions, I'll answer them after the live stream is over. And other than that, I think I'm going to work on my video for this evening, and I'll put that out between 8:30 p.m. and 9 p.m. here this evening, Central Time. So it'll be more like 9:30, 10 p.m. Eastern, and so on if you're on the West Coast. So make sure to turn on your post notification bell for the video, like the video, and subscribe to the channel here and as well, and share any videos, live streams on social media. It helps to get the word out to more people. Really appreciate it. Have a great rest of your day. Also, again, thanks to Snowies for modding. Thank you to everybody who sent me a super chat as well. I do appreciate it. And to close the poll right now, 130 votes. 60% of the 131 people who voted would rather have 100-degree temperatures. Very interesting. And 40% of people wanted minus 20-degree weather. So very interesting there as well. All right. Gonna wrap this up here. Just one second. All right, have a great rest of your Friday, everybody. Enjoy the warmer weather here in the east while it lasts through the next few hours, because things are turning colder and wintry as we go through the weekend and next week. I'll see you this evening, everybody, for a video update. Until then, have a great, safe, and fantastic rest of your Friday. Goodbye, everybody.